Hey everyone. So, have you ever signed something and just had that little nagging feeling in the back of your mind? What actually makes this legally binding? Well, today, we're going to dig into the legal deal breakers, those hidden factors that can make a signed contract totally worthless. Think about it. We make deals all the time, right? Sometimes it's a handshake, sometimes it's a 100-page document. But what's the secret sauce? What really turns a simple promise into an ironclad, legally real deal? It's not just about the signature, trust me. It's something way more fundamental. All right, so the real foundation of any valid contract, it's not the paper it's written on or the fancy legal jargon. Nope, it's all about what's going on in the minds of the people involved. And that brings us to this huge idea called true consent. In legal terms, a contract absolutely requires what's called a meeting of minds. That means both people have to genuinely and freely agree to the exact same thing. Without that shared voluntary understanding, the document is, well, it's just an empty shell. It's just words without any real will behind them.
So let's define it. What exactly is true consent? It's the free and voluntary agreement by everyone involved in the deal. This is the absolute soul of the contract. It's the one ingredient you just can't skip. This is the ideal we're shooting for.
But what happens when that ideal situation gets messy? Now we're going to get into the really interesting stuff, the factors that can corrupt that consent and turn what looks like a solid agreement into a complete deal breaker. And this right here, this is the million-dollar question. What if someone got your signature through pressure? Or what if the whole thing was based on a lie? The law actually has a very clear answer for when an agreement isn't truly free and fair. Okay, so here are the three main culprits. The law calls them vitiating factors, but you can just think of them as contract killers. First up, misrepresentation. That's when you're tricked by a lie, like someone selling you a car, but they secretly rolled back the odometer. Then there's duress. This is being forced or threatened, like your boss saying, sign this new contract or you're fired. And finally, undue influence. This is a bit more subtle. It's when someone you trust, maybe a family member or a financial advisor, unfairly persuades you into a deal that just so happens to benefit them. And here's the key takeaway. If any of these things happened, the law basically says there was no real agreement in the first place. One person's consent wasn't genuine at all. It was manufactured, either through pressure or through lies. That meeting of minds we talked about, it never actually happened. I mean, just look at the difference here. It's night and day. On one side, you have the gold standard, a voluntary, informed agreement made without any pressure. And on the other side, you've got a corrupted deal, consent that was forced, tricked, or manipulated. Legally speaking, these two are polar opposites. So if a contract was built on this kind of compromised consent, is the person who was wronged just stuck? No way. Absolutely not. The law provides this incredibly powerful tool to restore fairness. You can think of it as a legal undo button. And that undo button has a name. It's called rescission. Now, the most powerful word on this slide is elect. This isn't something that happens automatically. It's a choice. It is a right that the innocent party has. They get to decide whether or not to pull the plug on the whole deal. So how does this actually play out? Well, first, you have to prove one of those deal breakers existed, the misrepresentation, the duress, whatever it was. Then, the innocent party makes the call. They elect to rescind. At that point, the contract is treated as a nullity, basically void. And the final goal? The law tries to put everyone back in their original positions, almost like turning back the clock as if the deal never ever happened. I want to focus on this word for a second, nullity. It's so powerful. It doesn't just mean the contract is canceled or broken. It means the law treats it as if it never existed in the first place. It's a complete wipe from the legal record, right from day one. So yeah, rescission is basically a legal time machine. The goal is to put everyone back exactly where they started before the deal was ever signed. Money gets returned, property is given back, the entire transaction is just erased. So if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. A signature by itself is not what gives a contract its power. The real power comes from the genuine, voluntary consent of everybody who signs. Without that, you've just got a piece of paper waiting to be declared a total nullity. And that brings me to one final thought for you to chew on. This isn't just about giant corporate deals, It applies to everything we agree to. So the question I'll leave you with is this. In a world where we're constantly clicking I agree online and signing on dotted lines, how do we make sure our consent is truly, authentically our own?